going to show you how to shorten a course and how to change a course. In the event that you forget any of this or you're uncertain, just look it up in the Racing Rules of Sailing. If there isn't a rule book on the boat, you can always check your phone. You can go to ISAF and download the Racing Rules of Sailing so that you have them everywhere you go.
Shortening a course means reducing the number of legs so that the race will be over sooner. There are several reasons why you might want to shorten a course. For example, for safety, changing conditions such as approaching foul weather may make racing too much longer unsafe. Other unusual events such as a missing mark or a capsized recovery in the way may also prompt shortening of the course. The more common reason for shortening a course is to keep the race with insufficient wind from becoming too long. If not shortened, the race might exceed its time limit. Or the race might become unfair. To the extent to which a pursuit race lasts more than 30 minutes, the less fair it becomes because the handicaps implemented via the staggered start times are based on that race length. Overly long races can also prevent the completion of the planned number of races for the day. Now let's go through the proper procedures for shortening a course. A fundamental rule of shortening courses is that the new finish line must be at an existing mark. The finish boat must position itself to the right as the sailboats approach of the new finish mark where competitors would normally go if unaware of the change. The finish boat must blow 2 horns or whistles signaling a shortened course. Note that while only 2 sounds are required, repeating the 2 sounds is allowed and may be helpful to the sailors. And the finished boat must raise the S flag and fly the standard solid blue on-station flag indicating boat end of the finish line. Here's the flag that signals a shortened course, the S flag, a blue square on a white background. Let's look at a couple of examples of shortening a W5 course. When all racers are on the 3rd or beginning of the 4th leg of this 5-leg course, suppose we recognize that the race is taking too long. To shorten the course, we decide to use the leeward mark at the end of the 4th leg as our new finish, turning the W5 into a W4. The finish boat moves and anchors to the right of the leeward mark so that a sailboat sailing the original course would go through the finish line anyway. It also makes the required signals. Here's what a W5 shortened to a W3 would look like. In this case, the decision is made to finish at the windward mark. Here's what the procedure looks like on our committee boat.
All right, the procedure for shortening a course is really pretty simple. You have to be in an anchored boat at a mark. It can be any mark. You should put up the blue on-station flag to show that you are a finished boat on station. You need to raise the S flag for shortened course. And you need to make 2 sounds. And that's really all there is to it.
Let's move on to changing a course. Changing the course involves moving marks to change the direction of the course. The number of legs does not change. A course is changed to make a course square to the wind again after a persistent wind shift occurs during a race. Procedures for changing a course. The race committee may change the direction of a leg that begins at a rounding mark or gate by changing the position of the next mark or the finish line. An original mark may be moved to a new position or a separate mark may be placed in the new location. The mark being moved does not need to be in its new location before the leading racer has begun the leg being changed, but the mark boat must have begun signaling the sailors before they reach that leg. Subsequent legs may be changed to maintain the new course shape without further signaling. To signal a changed course, the boat blows a series of horns or whistles and continues to do so until all the competitors have reached the altered leg. A flag to signal the change of course, the C flag or Charlie flag, is also hoisted. In addition to the flag, it's necessary to indicate in which direction the course is being changed. We use the shapes method. A red square indicates the mark is moving to port, and a green triangle indicates that a mark is being moved to starboard. Compass bearings may also be used if the race committee posted a bearing for the original direction of the course before the race. Let's go through an example of changing a W5 course. Suppose that there is a big wind shift to the right as the first boats are rounding the windward mark at the end of the first leg. We decide to change the course, but the first opportunity to notify boats properly will be at the leeward mark. The committee boat anchored at the start line is near to the leeward mark, and she signals the change without having to move closer. The boat that signals the change of course could also be a mark boat. It's not necessary to anchor, only to be visible and able to be heard. Another mark boat moves the windward mark after the last sailboat rounds it and heads downwind. Typically, the original offset mark is no longer used. Rather than moving the windward mark, a separate mark of a different color can also be used if allowed by the sailing instructions. Ours do allow it. Using a separate mark is quicker, can be employed when some boats are still rounding the original mark, and is very useful when multiple fleets are racing on the course at the same time. Having a square course, or nearly square, is essential for a quality race. A race that is so out of square that it has become a reach course is essentially over competitively. If it is clear that a shift is not just an oscillation but something more permanent, please change the course and make it a better race. Here is what the course change procedure looks like on our committee boat.
All right, I'm going to demonstrate the procedure for changing a course. It needs to be done at a mark that you're changing the direction of the next mark. It's really quite simple. The procedure is to raise the Charlie flag, that's the C flag, for change of course, and give repeated signals to the competitors. And also hold up one of these placards, either a red square or a green triangle. The triangle means that the mark has been moved to starboard. The square indicates that the mark has been moved to port.
The procedures for shortening and changing courses are not difficult, and we should not hesitate to use them to make our racing better. Whenever you need a refresher on how to do it, see Rules 32 and 33 in the Racing Rules of Sailing. Thanks for listening.